Hi everyone, welcome to another Coronavirus TV episode. It's the 7th of July. Topic today, we're going to take a look at therapeutic antibodies again. Not one that we haven't talked about in about a month or so, but very much in the news today. So the news today and also yesterday was all concerning the company Regeneron, which is, I suppose, one of the leaders in developing monoclonal antibodies. So Regeneron is also in the race to develop antibodies against COVID-19, and it's now entering phase 3 with its antibody cocktail. So two different monoclonal antibodies combined, targeting the the protein expressed on the surface of SARS-CoV-2. In theory, this will enable the prevention of infection spread because of its passive immunity, but also potentially treating active infections too. These antibodies are neutralizing this, so they should be able to bind the virus and have the body clear it. So Regeneron is beginning its phase 3 program, very much taking the lead. Its phase 3 program is, 3 studies have been disclosed so far. The largest and the biggest is one actually in the prevention setting, in households that have a confirmed COVID-19 diagnosis, and then they're looking for 2,000 volunteers or participants within these households to work out whether the antibody cocktail can prevent them getting the infection as opposed to placebo. This trial is now recruiting across the US. A couple of other trials were also announced, phase 2/3 trials. One is, again, these two trials are actually looking at the treatment setting as opposed to the prevention setting. One is in non-hospitalized patients, and the other will be in hospitalized patients. Together, I think these two trials will enroll approximately another 3,000 patients. So super quick progress. It was actually only a month ago, or at the start of June, that we were congratulating Eli Lilly for being the first company to begin any clinical trial in humans of an antibody. And now, 5 weeks later, we're talking about another company entering phase 3 trials. So that's super quick progression. Not a whole lot of data to support Regeneron, but the antibody approach has a very strong scientific rationale. Regeneron's very good at designing and developing antibodies. It's also got the track record with Ebola. And also, we also have the news that the US government is throwing a lot of funding behind specifically this Regeneron program. So Operation Warp Speed, which is a government-funded, task force, and big pot of money, are putting almost $500 million into Regeneron to enable it to scale up the manufacturing and production of the finished antibody product. And in essence, it also means that the US government is going to be at the head of the queue to buy the product should Regeneron successfully develop it in these phase 3 trials. Quite an interesting take. I mean, Regeneron doesn't necessarily need the money. It could certainly do the scale up and manufacturing at risk, but it's choosing to accept the funding, while a company like Gilead in development of remdesivir has actually gone into its own pockets. This has enabled Gilead, I suppose, to decide its own strategy for the commercialization of remdesivir and setting a price point. It might be by the time Regeneron gets to a similar stage, its hands are a bit more tied and it's contractually obliged to provide all of its supply or a lot of its supply to the US government. So it's just interesting kind of juxtaposition there. And this is also the first example of Operation Warp Speed putting investment money behind a therapeutic and not a vaccine. Rewind a little bit. Regeneron was the first to get to phase 3. It's not the only company involved in antibodies against COVID-19. Lilly was the first to enter trials in a partnered product with a company called AbCellera. This has now progressed into phase 2. Eli Lilly also has another antibody in collaboration with a Chinese company called Junshi. This is now in phase 1. So these are the 3 clinical stage antibodies. Looking at the Pharma Projects database, there are a further 16 preclinical stage antibodies. We have a mix of big pharmas, so AstraZeneca, GSK, Amgen, AbbVie, and some smaller innovative companies with their own monoclonal antibody platforms that are doing their own development, and I guess ideally would like to get a partner or funding from a government agency. So it's a very competitive space. Regeneron's done incredibly well at progressing quickly. Lilly will be looking at this press release very closely, and in essence, it is a competition. They'll also be congratulating Regeneron too, but I would expect Lilly to also be progressing quite quickly alongside some of the other companies I just mentioned. This is very much the story of the moment. continue to follow the therapeutic antibody space will likely result in an approved treatment before vaccines. They won't be the exit strategy because in the prevention setting, it's only a passive immunity. You need to keep redosing and redosing and redosing. So you exhaust your supply very, very quickly. But nevertheless, it's a really nice balance between innovative drugs, getting them into patients quickly, possibly both in the acute treatment and prevention settings. Thanks a lot for listening. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.